Welcome to Global Watch. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The global automotive industry, a vast network connecting continents and economies, has been jolted in a way few could have predicted. For decades, automakers have relied on a delicate balance of international cooperation, supply chains stretching across borders, and a steady flow of innovation and investment. But now, that balance has been shattered. A powerful policy earthquake has sent shockwaves through boardrooms and factory floors alike. Executives scramble to assess the damage, while workers and suppliers brace for the unknown. The sense of uncertainty is palpable, as the industry faces a challenge unlike any in recent memory. At the heart of this upheaval is a bold move by President Trump's administration, the imposition of sweeping new tariffs targeting imported vehicles and auto parts. These tariffs, designed to protect American jobs and industries, have instead sent ripples of anxiety through the global marketplace. Cargo ships loaded with vehicles now face uncertain futures at ports, and the cost of doing business has skyrocketed overnight. For Honda, a titan of the industry with deep roots in both North America and Asia, the impact has been immediate and profound. Forced to respond to the new economic reality, Honda's leadership convened emergency meetings, weighing options that would affect not just their bottom line, but the livelihoods of thousands. The result? Honda's ambitious $15 billion electric vehicle hub in Ontario, a project that promised to transform the region into a center for green innovation, has been abruptly frozen. Construction has ground to a halt, and the once bustling site now sits eerily quiet. The dreams of thousands of workers, engineers, and local businesses are suddenly on hold, as uncertainty clouds the future of the entire community. In response, Honda has made a strategic pivot, shifting production of its popular CR-V model to American plants. This move is being hailed by some as a victory for the America First agenda, a sign that U.S. policies are succeeding in bringing manufacturing jobs back home. Workers in American factories celebrate new opportunities, while politicians tout the shift as proof of their economic vision. But beneath the surface, economists and industry experts are locked in heated debate. Is this protectionism truly a win for American workers, or does it come at a hidden cost? As trade policies shift, so too do the fortunes of suppliers, dealerships, and consumers. Protests erupt as some workers fear for their jobs, while others demand more support for domestic industries. The true cost and benefit of these policies remain hotly contested. One thing is clear: the decisions being made today will echo for years to come. The automotive landscape is being reshaped before our eyes, with new technologies, new alliances, and new challenges on the horizon. As engineers and designers race to adapt and as factories retool for an uncertain future, the world watches closely. The next generation of cars, and the people who build them, will be defined by the choices made in this pivotal moment. To truly grasp the significance of today's headlines about auto tariffs and trade, it's important to step back and understand the broader context. The automotive industry is not just about cars on the road, it's a complex web of international relationships, economic policies, and historical agreements that have shaped how vehicles are designed, built, and sold around the world. We must look at the history of automotive trade to see how we arrived at this moment. Decades ago, car manufacturing was largely a domestic affair, with most vehicles built and sold within the same country. Over time, however, globalization transformed the industry. Automakers began sourcing parts and labor from different countries, seeking efficiency and cost savings. The global auto industry thrived on free trade agreements like NAFTA, and more recently, the USMCA. These agreements broke down barriers, allowing car companies to move parts, vehicles, and expertise across borders with minimal tariffs or restrictions. This created a truly international supply chain where a single car might have components from several countries. As a result, automakers could optimize production, lower costs, and offer consumers more choices. The North American market, in particular, became a model of cross-border cooperation, with each country specializing in different aspects of car production. These pacts created a seamless production network across North America, where parts and vehicles could move freely, and workers from different backgrounds contributed to a shared industry. This integration made the region highly competitive on the global stage. Honda's strategy, like that of many automakers, relied heavily on this framework. With major facilities in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, Honda could efficiently produce vehicles tailored to each market, while benefiting from the strengths of each country's workforce and resources. But now, the recent announcement of new tariffs threatens to disrupt this carefully balanced system. Tariffs can increase costs, slow down production, and force companies to rethink their supply chains. For automakers, this means uncertainty and potential delays, as they scramble to adapt to new rules. The Trump administration argues that these tariffs are necessary to correct what it sees as unfair trade practices by other countries. Supporters believe tariffs will protect American jobs and industries, while critics warn they could spark trade wars and hurt consumers with higher prices. This aggressive stance is rewriting the rules for the North American auto sector, forcing companies, workers, and governments to navigate a rapidly changing landscape. The future of automotive trade, and the jobs and communities that depend on it, hangs in the balance as these new policies take shape. Before the tariff shock, Honda planned a transformative investment in Canada, a $15 billion plan aimed to make Ontario a hub for electric vehicles. The centerpiece was a state-of-the-art EV battery plant in Alliston. This project promised thousands of high-paying jobs and solidified Canada's green economy leadership. The plan relied on a stable North American trade environment. Honda's strategy was to supply the continent with new electric vehicles. The tariff announcement changed the odds dramatically. In April 2025, the North American auto market's stability was shattered. The industry, which had enjoyed years of relative calm and steady growth, suddenly found itself at the center of a political storm. Headlines blared as automakers, suppliers, and dealerships braced for impact. The shockwaves were felt not just in boardrooms, but on factory floors and in showrooms across the continent. The Trump administration imposed a sweeping 25% tariff on all imported vehicles and auto parts, a move that sent ripples through global supply chains. Overnight, the cost of bringing cars and components into the United States soared, leaving importers scrambling to recalculate prices and logistics. Ports became choke points, as customs officers enforced the new rules, and automakers faced tough decisions about sourcing and production. The policy, officials said, was designed to counteract what they described as unfair foreign subsidies and aggressive industrial policies from overseas competitors. At press conferences, government spokespeople argued that these measures were necessary to level the playing field and protect American jobs. Critics, however, warned of retaliation and rising costs for consumers. Tariffs were presented as a powerful tool to compel automakers to build more vehicles in America. The administration hoped that by making imports more expensive, companies would shift production to U.S. soil, boosting domestic employment and revitalizing local economies. Patriotic imagery and promises of new factory jobs dominated the narrative, but the phased rollout of these duties created a climate of deep uncertainty for automakers. Executives gathered in urgent meetings, trying to anticipate the next policy shift and its impact on their bottom lines. Analysts pored over data, attempting to forecast how the tariffs would reshape the competitive landscape. Time seemed to accelerate as companies raced to adapt. For Honda, a company with a long history of manufacturing in North America but also reliant on global supply chains, the tariffs threatened established business models. Managers worried about the viability of existing plants, while employees feared for their jobs. The company faced tough choices about where to invest and how to maintain its reputation for quality and affordability. A 25% tax on vehicles is a massive cost, one that automakers could not easily absorb. Prices for new cars began to climb, squeezing both dealers and consumers. The competitive edge of many brands was dulled, and some buyers delayed purchases, waiting to see how the market would settle. The policy forced automakers to reevaluate their entire North American strategies. Companies weighed the risks and rewards of shifting production, renegotiating supplier contracts, and even reconsidering which models to offer. The future of the industry was suddenly uncertain, as every player scrambled to adapt to a new era of America First in the auto sector. Faced with a 25% tariff, Honda swiftly shifted production. Honda moved US-bound CR-V production from Ontario to Indiana and Ohio. This shift shielded the CR-V from the import tax. Honda aims to increase US production by 30%. The Canadian plant's long-term status is now uncertain. Honda indefinitely postponed the $15 billion EV investment in Ontario. The financial viability of the project was jeopardized by tariffs. Honda's decisions reflect a strategic pivot in response to economic nationalism. Honda's decision sent shockwaves across North America. The $15 billion project's postponement is a blow to Canada's economy. It jeopardizes thousands of high-skilled jobs and a domestic battery supply chain. Canada's new Prime Minister faces a major test in securing economic future. In the U.S., Honda's production shift is hailed as a tariff policy victory. However, rising costs and potential trade retaliation loom. Other automakers are reassessing North American strategies. The tariffs create winners and losers, destabilizing the market. Experts are deciphering the long-term implications of this trade environment. Honda's pivot is seen as a strategic response to a changed landscape. Shifting CR-V production insulates it from tariffs. The EV project's postponement is a prudent pause. The industry has a history of adapting to economic shocks. However, dismantling the integrated production network raises costs. The industry faces a new era of unpredictability. Geopolitical considerations now rival market demand in importance. The tariff war has a profound human cost across North America. In Canada, Honda's production shift casts doubt on long-term viability. The EV project's postponement dashes hopes for future jobs. American consumers face higher vehicle prices due to tariffs. The tariffs create a paradox for American auto workers. The policy may shift jobs to U.S. plants but threatens others. The social impact is heightened uncertainty and anxiety. Tariffs risk creating economic hardship for those they aim to help. Trump's tariffs and Honda's choice define the global auto industry. A single policy decision reshapes manufacturing maps and economic destinies. Honda's move is a case study in the new reality of global trade. The 25% tariff was the catalyst for Honda's pivot. Canada lost a landmark $15 billion investment. The fallout affects jobs, consumer prices, and diplomatic relations. The industry faces a new era of economic nationalism. The story is far from over, with lasting impacts on manufacturing's future.